Hello guys, and welcome to a reading vlog. This is my first one, so we'll see how it goes. I'm filming on my phone, so hopefully the audio and everything's okay. But I'm going to start Love and Other Words. I am very excited for this book. And I wanted to catch all my reactions. So hopefully I'm not including spoilers or anything. I'll put times if I do. But yeah, so I'm gonna just head to the pool. I'm still at school, so me and my friends are gonna go study for a little bit. I figured I'd bring the book and probably start reading as a little study break there. But yeah, so I'm super excited. So reading vlog day 1 starts today. Okay, so slight update. I didn't really read a lot at the pool. A couple of our friends who are seniors came over and joined us, and we wanted to just celebrate them and stuff. So we decided we were gonna go out to eat before their families got there, and then I drove home. So I barely really read. I read all of 3 pages, and now I'm just being so lazy that I don't want to physically hold the book that I downloaded the sample of it off iTunes. You can read the first 3 chapters a lot of times on books on iBooks, or I think even Goodreads, you can preview some books, but that's what's happening right now. Hopefully it's so good that it'll motivate me to walk up the stairs. That's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, so I'm just gonna sit and read a little bit, and then hopefully I'll just walk up and go grab the book after I finish my coffee. So we shall see. Okay, so I just decided to start it from the prologue because I really wasn't that far in anyways. So I read it and I really like it. It motivated me. I'm gonna go upstairs and grab the book. But I really like this one quote off the prologue. It's the very first page you read it. And so her mom passed away from cancer. And she goes, "When I lost her, it felt like I was drowning in all the love I still had that could never be given." And I feel like that's a good description of grief. It's all the love that gets trapped in you. I don't know. I've heard people say that a lot. And I just really liked that quote. But basically it jumps back and forth 15 years, and it goes present now. It goes present, past, and we meet Elliot. They met 15 years ago because he is her neighbor of her cabin that her and her dad had bought. And yeah, and then she runs into him at this coffee shop, but she's engaged to be married. Of a guy she only knew for a couple months, but to each his own. So I don't know. I'm almost 100 pages in, and they just started going over their emails from when they were kids, and they're talking about how he used to go to the park and role play, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sure you're just kidding." And he got really into it and was like, "No, it's really fun. There's a group called the Nobles." And I was laughing really hard reading their emails. But currently what's happening in the present, he broke up with his girlfriend and showed up at her work at the hospital. And it is just so not allowed to give out personal information like that. So I was like, ooh, but yeah, so they showed up and they went to go get coffee, and he told her that he broke up with his girlfriend. But her current fiance has a kid, Phoebe, who obviously very much likes her, and she likes her. Macy likes Phoebe, and Phoebe likes Macy, and it's just I just don't like when kids are involved. So I hope that they don't screw over her fiance and his daughter, because that's gonna make me really sad. That's why I try to avoid books where kids are involved, because I feel like they go by the wayside and it bothers me. But besides that, I really like it. I think it's really interesting. And so Sabrina, her friend who was at the coffee shop when she ran into Elliot, was like, "I think you should be friends with him again." And Macy was like, "I don't think we can just be friends." But I don't know. So I think she's going to try to find a way to get back in contact with Elliot, even though she has none of his information. And she kind of ran out of breakfast with him when he showed up to her place of work. So yeah, I'm going to keep reading, but that's my update. book update. I'm like halfway through now. Basically they all went, she invited all of her like old friends and her fiance to go to like a picnic and meet, and that included Elliot. And she started to realize that her fiance, I don't know, she just started to realize things that she didn't realize before. And her friend Sabrina is like, we need an intervention and like all this stuff, and she's like slowly pulling away from her current fiance. And yeah, and Elliot just invited her to his brother's wedding, which is on New Year's Eve, which is supposedly like a big, I think that's when their big blowout happened. So it's going to be interesting to see that. But yeah, and then what's happening in the past right now is them just kind of like growing up as teenagers, and like obviously like they both are starting to like each other, and it's just like funny to like read about them as teenagers and stuff, and just like because they aren't together but they very obviously like each other, and just like the jealousy. So yeah, I will update you guys after I read again some more, so we'll see. We figured out what had happened. That girl Emma, who was like just a problem. I do not like her throughout the entire book. I don't think I had ever talked about her because I just kind of thought she was like annoying little insignificance. No. On New Year's Eve 11 years ago, Elliot called Macy up, and he was obviously a little intoxicated and was like at this party, and she was with her dad at like some party, and he was telling her all this stuff and was like, I love you, will you marry me? And when they get off the phone, she never said it back. And so the phone call ended kind of like you could just tell he was not pleased with how the conversation ended. And she could tell too. So she was like, I just need to go up there and like I just need to see him. And so she asked her dad, and her dad was like, yes, but please call me when you get there so I know you got there. So she gets up there and she finds him at this party. And his one friend is a total ass and was like, oh yeah, go up there, haha, like obviously knowing something was up. And then his other friend was like, no, like just like I'll have him call you in the morning, okay? Like just go home, like I'll have him call you. And she's like, no. So she goes up there and she sees it's like him and Emma are like laying on this bed together, and she's like distraught. So she leaves and goes to like her, not like back home, all the way back home to like where her dad is. She just like goes to like their house in Hburg, and she like falls asleep on the floor, and her dad shows up, and then she kind of like basically tells him that like Elliot cheated on her, and he's like, let's go home. And so they get in the car and they're driving, and he's like distracted because he keeps like looking over at her and like all this stuff, and they get in a really big car crash and he dies. Her dad dies the same night she finds out Elliot is cheating on her, which is why we realize she never reached back out to Elliot, because she was grieving the loss of her father. Like she literally lost everyone she loved that day. Like her mother was already gone, she lost her dad, and she lost Elliot. But Elliot doesn't know that yet. He basically like dismissed her from the wedding. Was like, do you want me to call you a ride home, or like do I need to drive you home or something? And she's like, oh, he's telling me to leave. So she left, and she just like went back to her like her cabin in town, and she's like crying in the closet. I hate that girl Emma. Hate that girl Emma. And I'm really sad about her dad. I love Duncan. Basically, moral of the story, do not tell someone you love them over the freaking phone, and call your parents when you say you're gonna call them. So I finished the book. This whole video is just like a giant spoiler. I realized like watching it back through. So I wanted to like end the video off differently. I finished the book a couple of days ago when I was initially filming it. So I finished it in that one sitting. Or that afternoon, but it was really great. I loved it. If you like second chance romance or anything of the sort, You will love this book. Friends to lovers. It is very cute. It made me laugh. I smiled so much reading this book, and just Elliot and Macy's relationship is adorable. Even if you aren't a big fan of contemporary romance, I think you would like this book. Yeah, it was really cute. It's really good, and just I see why it's hyped up. I definitely do. So yeah, I don't think I have much else to say. I feel kind of bad that this whole, like the entire thing involves spoilers. So hopefully the next one I make, I'll be like smart and I won't like talk through like what happens in the book. But if you enjoyed this book or you didn't, or I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.